Okay, so hello everyone. I'm FARAH MOURAD. As humbly, I'm a market analyst at XTB. And you know, I'm 100% sure every one of you heard of inflation. Inflation everywhere. Whenever I go on any TV channel, on any platform, the first question, how is inflation affecting anything? So whenever I'm trying to, talk about the reasons behind it, there's always one, we would say, link missing. I really need to go back to explain why this happened. So why do we have inflation? Why everything is going down while only the dollar is going up? Is it because of what's happening in Ukraine? Is it because of the supply chain? Is it because of the huge amount of, liquidity that was in the market? Or is it COVID? Of course, we can say everything, but I mean the way that we see it. And what I want to talk about today is how this financial system was built on, that somehow hyperinflation must happen at some point. I'm sorry, I'm not really good with technology, but I really went a little bit too far in the back to let you know where it all started. It's not a history test, but we have to go to the 1971. I don't know how many of you know that, whether you're an investor, whether you're just here by mistake, you have a brokerage. I think it's quite important to keep in the back of our head what really happened. In 1971, President Nixon, he unpegged the dollar and it was no longer backed by gold. And here it all started. Because I mean, whenever you can print as much as you want, then you can just print as much as you want. US dollar, that's very important, I would say, sentence that he said, are backed by the full faith and credit in the US. So basically, if you had dollar in your hand, it means that you have gold in the bank where you can give your note, which is the US dollar, and you could get back your gold. But at some point, that was no longer the case, and that's where the US gave us two options for the whole world. Whoever gave them their gold. Now you have two choices. Whether you take our dollar, you make it seem like, it has a certain worth, or you just don't, and you lose everything that you have. So basically it was, there's no other options. You have to take the dollars. So why do we care about the dollar more than anything else? I mean, probably the euro, for example, as a value is pretty much higher, or used to be higher. The pound, the Kuwaiti as well currency. But I mean, the dollar is the only currency where it's very easy to, interchange it. Everything in the world, or the loans that you want to pay, for example, outside of the country, is going to be in dollar. And this is why it's dominating. The fact and the trust of entities, whether it's us, whether it's countries, whether it's institution, for the possibility or the legitimacy of the dollar to be able, for example, to be purchased and repurchased is higher than anything else. For example, I know if I'm in any country in the world, I can pay them dollar, they would take it. Other currency, not so much, even if it had a higher value. So basically, what's backing the dollar right now? Why is it strong? It's not like we have gold in the bank that's making us, believe that the dollar is backed by anything. So the new way, after the 1971 till today, was actually, if you can see here, the dollar on the top, it's actually Federal Reserve's note. So basically, that was a note. You go give it to the bank, you get gold. But now you cannot just go give it and get gold that you have in the bank. You just get the dollar. So now, if you see the difference between before the 1971 and after, is that the dollar was legal tender, where you can redeem it for money, real money, which used to be the gold. Now, on the dollar, you would only see that it's a note. You cannot redeem it for gold at that point. So let's dig deeper. What's backing the dollar? What's backing any currency if it's not the gold? What's backing it is the trust of people in this economy, in the fundamental of this economy, meaning, very shortly, the GDP, how much we're consuming, how many investors there are, how many new investment, the government, how much it's ready. So basically, in a financial system built on credit, the strongest is the person who can pay his credit, and people believe that they can. And who's better than, someone who can simply print and pay his own credit? So let's see what's really backed by the economy. Now, at the meantime, we see that the dollar is the strongest. We're seeing everything going down. Crypto's going down, commodities a little bit, stocks are going down, all other currencies going down, dollar is king at the point. It's backed by the company's GDP, meaning the goods and services in a certain country at a certain time period. Usually it's a year. So basically it's the private and public consumption. At that point, we're okay with that in the US. Afterwards, we have the government outlays, which supposedly, you know, the 3 trillion that was injected in the market last year. Investments, we're seeing that going down. We're seeing, you know, even the behavior of investors changing in the US. Exports less than imports. So basically, if you want to break it down into a formula, we can see that private consumption, which is 70% of the US economy, is a little bit going down. It's still holding the economy, but it's still going down. We want to see, for example, the businesses and how much we're spending, while lending is going down as well. So that's not a good sign for the fundamentals of the GDP. If we want to see also the net exports, whenever your currency is getting stronger, it means that your exports would be lower, especially when it's getting even way stronger compared to other currencies. And then we have the government spending. And that's probably what's making the US and the dollar strong at that moment. But I mean, is it sustainable? How long can we keep on printing? How long, whenever we have an issue, how healthy, how not artificial it is for an economy to be able to just print? And how can we control inflation afterwards? What I'm not here to actually give or debate whether it's a healthy environment or not, but just to let you know as investors how to see the markets from now on. Whatever is keeping now the dollar strong is basically that the government has the ability to spend more than any other government in the world. Let's see what's happening in Europe, for example. Whether it's the pound, whether it's Australia, no one has the ability to actually fund their markets the way that the Americans do. The other side is taxes, and of course we know how that is. But I mean, both ways, what we can see is that now whatever is making the US dollar strong is the government spending. Why do we care as investors? We're not here to judge, we're just here to see what's happening so we can be on the profitable side. So what we can do, what's happening, why the America is most probably the strongest in the financial, because somehow their dollar is weaponized. It's a strong dollar. You can buy petrol with it. Now we're starting to see some debates that, okay, we don't have to be dealing with the dollar. We're starting to hear more and more like, for example, whatever is happening in Russia, like, okay, you want to put sanctions on us, so, you know, we can just simply stop using the dollar. We can simply stop using the euro. How about other countries that would look also for different alternatives? That would definitely change the way financial systems are built right now. And of course, there's many threats to the dollar dominance, even with supposedly friendly countries with the US. For example, let's say the Eurozone. Let's say also the pound. Now we're talking about pairing between the dollar and the euro. It's already down. And the pound also is trying to retest these levels. So we are talking about main countries, even if now we're checking, I don't know if you were checking the news today, the Japanese yen, it was above 150 faced the dollar. So this would definitely, if we're seeing many countries being affected by very high dollar value, we would definitely see something happening after that. And it's a sword of two sides. I mean, export-wise, it's not that good. The ability to maybe lower the inflation is better in the US than other countries. The other thing we need to focus on, especially for investors, like, okay, we're seeing the dollar going strong. Is it the good time to jump in and benefit from that? Are we a little bit late? We really need to check the CPI. We didn't check how much the inflation, you know, reports would show us in this upcoming months at the end of the year. But we know at some point the cycle of interest would stop. That means all the strong dollar would be depreciated. So we really need to check when are we going to maybe stop this, because let's say we are continuing with the high inflation already created by, I don't know if you believe it's a Ponzi scheme or not, of the central banks of being able to simply print money. Debatable. But I mean, at some point, they need to stop raising the interest rates. But whether the inflation would be also calming down or not, when they will be stopping it, are they going to stop it before really creating even different issues and making other countries start questioning the legitimacy of the dollar to be the main and the controlling currency of the world. The other thing that we really need to be checking is hedging against depreciation the moment it happens. Let's say we went to this very high value of appreciation. After that, we're seeing, the prices or the interest rates should be going down. So where to hedge? In an economy that investment is going down, probably we have, lower consumer confidence. We have CPI that's still up, and the dollar needs at some point to be depreciated. I believe we are in a very important, the inflation, whatever is happening right now, it's a mix of things that are very hard to be mixed. But that doesn't mean that the inflation pressure that happened because of the injection of high liquidity, including the geopolitical tension, it was something that would have happened at some point. And now we're really testing this, I would say, financial structure that was built since the 1971 till today. Are we going to continue with it? Are we able to stop the cycle to repeat itself? We all know the balance sheet is getting bigger and bigger. We all know the debts worldwide are getting bigger and bigger. So at some point, where are we going to move forward with this? I understand inflation is a way, to make the economy work. We have to see economy growing. Even if it's a little bit high, if it's a little bit low, it's still controllable. But I believe with this amount, the 3 trillion that was injected in the markets, it's still time to start wondering, how do we really value anything? How can we value the dollar? If it's not backed by anything, not backed by any commodity, it's backed by a GDP that's going down while we see the dollar going up. So where's the missing link? And I believe that's the most interesting question that all investors, even normal people, they really start to wonder and see how things work. And this is why I wanted to share actually that with you. And I hope I answered your question. Okay, that was it. And if you have any question regarding that or anything else, please meet us. Me and my colleagues at XTB would be very happy to help you all. Thank you.